Okay, we're going to kick off the next session. I'd just like to welcome Minister Finian McGath. Thank him for taking the time to come today. He attended an event of ours 2 weeks ago on direct payments, and so we very much appreciate him taking the time again to spend an hour or so with us. I'd also like to welcome Pat Healy, the National Director of Social Care in the HSE, and thank him for taking the time again today. And our panel speakers, some of you who met in the workshops. Just for the Minister's benefit, I'm just going to touch on the workshops we had this morning, and also thank you to all the speakers who spoke at the workshop. I attended all of them for about 20 minutes, and I thought they were quite powerful and very vibrant, and hopefully we'll have a good discussion afterwards. So the plan now is for the Minister's going to say a few words, and then Pat Healy from the HSE is going to make a presentation, short presentation, and then we're going to open the conversation up. We're going to have some feedback from each of the workshops, and we're going to open it up then to a kind of a discussion and question and answer panel. As I say, the Minister is under pressure to go. He has another appointment, so he'll make his exit at any time that suits him, so we'll kick off straight away. So Minister, just for your information, we had 4 workshops this morning. One was on complex support needs and issues for persons with very significant and pervasive support needs. And I suppose there's a sense for many family members that the narrative of disability policy around community engagement, independence, that it doesn't fit for their family members who have very significant and as I say, pervasive support needs, and that there's a sense very often for families, and we've done research in this area ourselves, that the needs of their family members aren't captured in the policy narrative about independence and community living. And there are significant needs around broader family supports, because there's obviously a very significant support and advocacy role that families play for people with complex needs. The second workshop is on the Assisted Decision Making Act, and I think it's very important that you're here today because the last government obviously published the Act, but the Decision Support Service has yet to be established, and there was a commitment to do it in 2017 or within 6 months. My understanding is that the conversations between the Department of Health and the Department of Justice are painfully slow. There doesn't look to be much progress on setting up the Assisted Decision Support Office. And without that office, there can be no Convention on the Rights of Persons with a Disability. So, again, there's issues there for wards of court, people who are wards of court, and what will happen for wards of courts who are to be reviewed under the Act over a period of 3 years if that office closes. So it's important for people to see the support service up and established. And I don't think any additional funding was made available in the last announcements for that, so it's an issue there for families and persons who are wards of court. We also had a self-advocacy workshop, Inclusion Ireland Self-Advocacy Subcommittee, who talked about being involved in the community and participation in the community and volunteering. And again, they had a number of questions for you. And a part of the conversation we're having here today is that it's not just about disability services and the idea that everybody's life happens inside a HSE-funded disability services, that life is about much more than that. Participation in the community, making your own choice, having your own control over your life and doing the things you want to do. And getting the supports when you need them, which may come from the HSE. But Minister, as you know, you cover social protection, justice and health, and there are big issues there in terms of those government departments coming on board, because people tend to look to the HSE to deliver everything, but actually social protection has an enormous role to play, community has an enormous role to play, justice has an enormous role to play, and as the Minister who's overseeing the National Disability Strategy, there's real opportunity for you to get those departments together and start banging their heads in terms of actually getting into disability in a more proactive way than they are at the moment. And finally, we had a workshop on innovative approaches to day supports and day services. And again, this was a really exciting and vibrant workshop. And one of the presentations was around families as partners in the delivery of day services of the Praxis Dundalk project, which I was watching. And there was another presentation by Fionn and Jonathan around a direct payment that they received to manage their own situation. I know you've met them. And also SOS Kilkenny spoke about the values that should underpin day services. So again, that's about choice and people not having to go into a traditional day service, which may be delivered in a very institutionalised or workshop type setting. People want more choice and control and do things that they want to do in their lives. So again, it speaks to the direct payments issue and personalised budgets that we spoke about at the last event. So I'm trying to talk fast so I don't use up too much time, so I'm sorry about that if I'm talking too fast. Minister, can I thank you and welcome you and ask you to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Paddy. And just to say once again, I'm absolutely delighted to be here speaking at Inclusion Ireland. As Paddy said, this is the second time in 2 weeks. So just to say that I want to thank you for the very, very warm welcome and for inviting me to be with you all today. I understand that this morning some of you have taken place in a number of workshops, and as Paddy mentioned, I will deal with some of these particular issues as well later on in my few words. Can I say, when I saw the title of your conference, Time to Deliver, I was absolutely excited about it, because I actually said to myself, this is what's needed in relation to people with disability and delivering disability services as a right to all of our disabled community. And when I saw that, I said, it is time to deliver. For the last 7 or 8 years, as you all know, the disability services have been slashed, they've been underinvested, there's been lack of capital investment, and there's been major problems in relation to services. So it is time to deliver now. And part of my job, and as the new Minister for Disabilities, is to try and implement a lot of the policies that you've been talking about and deal with, particularly both in your everyday lives but also in relation to Inclusion Ireland. Can I say that I and the HSE and the disability organisations across the health services are committed to transforming the lives of people with disabilities by supporting our citizens to live a full and fulfilled life. There is an onus on us all to use the substantial resources that are committed to disability services throughout the public sector more effectively and more efficiently. And most importantly, we must ensure that we are achieving real and significant improvements in the lives of people with disabilities. This progress is driven by the Transforming Lives programme, which is the new and more fitting title given to the implementation of the recommendations in the Value for Money and policy review of disability services in Ireland. One of the most significant projects being progressed as part of the Transforming Lives programme is the implementation of the person-centred model of daily living, which has been outlined in new directions. The report of the review group on health-funded adult day services. The new directions report sets out an approach which is based on its principles of person-centredness, community inclusion, active citizenship, and high-quality supports. The role of the health sector is being redefined, and instead of providing predefined services to passive recipients, new directions recognises that we must provide are personalised supports to active participants. And that's exactly the core of my strategy and the core of my vision for services and for people with disabilities. In my many years campaigning for people with disabilities, and particularly since I became Minister, I have been very encouraged to see the number of stakeholders like yourselves around the country that are immersing themselves wholeheartedly in the transformation programme around day services. As recently as last month, the HSE organised and hosted a day-long New Directions learning event at which service providers from across the country came together to exchange ideas and learning from each other to ensure best, which is fundamental to services across the country and to person-centred model services and supports. One of the central aims of this transformation is to strive to ensure that every one of our citizens has an effective right, free from discrimination, to contribute to the economic, social and political life of our country, and in doing so to achieve the best outcomes possible for themselves and their families. Having choices, doing useful things, learning new skills, meeting people and having a role in the community. These are the things that most of us take for granted. These are very ordinary experiences that people with disabilities tell us that they want. Providing people with the means and opportunity to make their own decisions and yet receive support when they need it is critical to our aims. In this context, and as one of my early priorities, I was particularly pleased that the additional funding that I announced this week, with the support for the programme for government, commitment to ensuring that all 18-year-old school leavers with disabilities have access to supports and services which meet their needs at this crucial transition period in their lives. As part of our commitment and my commitment to equality of opportunity for all citizens, I will support people with disabilities in maximising their potential by removing barriers that impact on access to services, education, work and healthcare. Particular focus will be placed on supports at key transition points, namely going to school, progressing to further training or education, commencing employment and moving into homes in the community. These are the key elements of my plans for the coming months. And I think it's essential that we have short-term targets and long-term targets when we're dealing with these particular issues. Regarding children with disabilities and people with serious illnesses, I also planned to extend the medical cards to approximately 10,000 children in respect of whom the domiciliary care allowance is received. In relation to mental health services, and this is something you've seen in the media in recent months as well, we must bring further capacity to child and adolescent mental health services. We need more 24 supports in primary and emergency care, and we must consider those in our wider society who need our help. And that, to me, is also another key priority. Paddy mentioned this in one of your discussions this morning in relation to the Assisted Decision-Making Capacity Act 2015, which was signed by the President on the 30th of December 2015. The Act reforms Ireland's capacity legislation, which has been in place since the 19th century. And as a reformer, I will do my best on this particular issue. The Act establishes a modern statutory framework to support decision-making by adults who have difficulty in making decisions without help. I'd also like to say that I welcome the 3 types of decision-making support options proposed under the legislation to respond to the range of support needs that many may have in relation to decision-making capacity. Each of these 3 decision-making support options decisions can be made on personal welfare, property, finance, or a combination of both. By working in partnership, we will achieve the maximum independence, choice and inclusion for people with disabilities. We will realise the vision of a more equitable service for everyone, where services and supports will be tailored to meet the individual need. The current National Disability Strategy Implementation Plan expired in 2015, at which point a consultation process for a revised National Disability Inclusion Strategy began. It is intended that the new strategy will be in place by the end of 2016 and will set out one accessible document, a statement of both high-level policy objectives and specific actions and timescales. The consultations have taken the form of a 3-stage process. Phases 1 and 2 of the process have been completed, and Phase 3, the formulation of actions and timescales, will commence soon. I expect to publish the list of draft actions for consultations very, very shortly. Throughout the strategy development process, it has always been the goal to accurately identify exactly what needs to be done and can be realistically achieved within the strategy's time frame. I am confident that we're very close to achieve this goal, and the strategy will make a real difference to the position of people with disabilities in society. And just in relation to some of the issues that you covered this morning in relation to your workshop, the first issue dealt with the complex support needs. We do need a strong disability policy, and we need to deal with the issue that sometimes these policies don't fit the needs of the person themselves. And the needs of the person have to be the priority in any policy and any implementation of any policy. And my responsibility and my duty as Minister for Disability, but also as a parent of a young daughter with an intellectual disability, my priority as always, since 20 years ago I started off on the Down Syndrome Association as an activist and as a disability rights activist, my priority was always the person with a disability and the immediate family. They were the key things in any implementation of any policies or any recommendations. Paddy mentioned as well, in relation to the Assisted Decision-Making Capacity Bill, the support services. Yes, I agree, the process is very, very slow, and we need the different departments to get their act together and move on this one. So what I'd say to you, I am going to move in this in relation to over June and July, because I think we need some action on that. On the self-advocacy issue, I just think that, you know yourself from Inclusion Ireland, from the other organisations, We have a lot of excellent people, quality talent. I met some of them, David, Fionn and Paul, over recent weeks. I've met many other parents this morning. I was in Clongriffin with a group of parents of young autistic children. So the answer to that question is we need the self-advocacy and we need people speaking for themselves, and that's a very, very important thing. And then also the approaches to day services. Again, I'm a firm believer in choice in services to suit the particular needs of the person. You don't impose a system or a service on somebody without their direct support. So finally, I know there will be a lot of challenges along the way, but as Minister for State with Responsible Disability, I look forward to facing all these challenges and indeed overcoming these challenges together with you. I want to wish you all well in the future, and I will give a commitment that I will do my best over the next 6 to 12 months in relation to all matters dealing with people with physical and intellectual disabilities. Thank you very much.
So I hope you say 6 to 12 months, they're the short-term targets and not the length of the government. But so I want the Minister to hear some of the feedback from the workshop.